gonna take the next 10 minutes to go over some exercises for gymnasts, or specifically Pilates shoulder exercise for gymnasts. So these exercises will be good for anybody, but I'm gonna specifically address the needs of the gymnast as I go through all of them. And what I see here in the clinic when I'm working with gymnasts with back pain or shoulder pain or neck pain, I see a tendency of trying to like really solidify the body from all around, like maybe using the lats to stabilize and being tight in one straight piece, which is often needed for gymnastics. But if they keep going in that direction, it makes it difficult to have to break up the stiffness and like, for example, open shoulders without like arching the back. I also find that gymnasts tend to like use their pecs to stabilize in connection with their abs, and so a lot of times a gymnast posture is arched back and shoulders forward. So we're gonna work on those things today. So when I say Pilates for gymnasts, it doesn't necessarily mean, y'all know gymnasts are super strong, right? So it doesn't mean that this is gonna be extra challenging because this is for an extra strong person, but it's gonna address needs of someone who has to like really stabilize the body and sometimes might compensate by bringing the shoulders forward and tightening down the lats to create stability in the whole body. All right, enough talking. We are just gonna bring the arms above the head and below. And if I let myself go, if I don't try very hard, as I bring my arms over my head, my back will kind of arch up, ribs will come up, and there'll be space underneath, like say, my bra line, for example. So I have to work a little bit just to keep this down while my arms come up and down. And I like to take a big breath in as I bring my arms up, which will also make you want to puff up. So it takes a little bit of extra effort to figure out how to bring the arms up over the head while breathing in without letting the ribs just flare up and open. We are working on that shoulder mobility while maintaining center stability. Let's do that 2 more times. Breathe in and out, and in and out. All right, I'm gonna bring my arms behind my head and curl my chest up. This might not seem like it has to do a ton with the shoulders, but it's always good to warm up the center, and this is gonna get us prepped for the next thing that we're gonna do for our shoulders. So when we're all tightened up to stay stable for challenges like gymnastics, the ribs can get really bogged down tight. And so we are going to cross to get some rotation in that upper spine. And 2 for 1, we're getting like an ab workout, but we're also opening up, I'm opening up these back ribs over here as I'm gonna actually breathe in here to open up some space in those back ribs while I'm in this position. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Also might not seem super related to the shoulders, but we're gonna start with a little pelvic tilt here to get out of like an archy back position to warm up to the next thing, which is bridging, which you might feel like you're not using your shoulders for, but this is a challenge if it's a challenge for you. I'd like you to keep the front of your chest open wide as you come down segmentally down your spine. Yeah, so as I come down, if I'm trying to get this part of my back down first, I might round my shoulders forward to come down. But I'd like you to keep your shoulders wide open the whole time. And 4, 3, I realize this is just like a warm up for the gymnast, right? 2, And when there's obviously lots of things to be done with weights and standing on arms and things like that, but this is also very good foundation. So go ahead and lie down on your side, legs bent, bottom arm bent underneath you, and open up. We call this book opening. And the reason why we're doing this is like what we talked about before, which is getting some movement in that upper back, the thoracic spine, so that your shoulders can move appropriately. If you're super stiff in that upper / mid back, there's actually lots of things that can happen, but it makes it harder for you to really use the full potential of your shoulders. So we are getting a nice rotation here while keeping our hips stacked, keeping our legs over here, and it's not just an arm movement, it's a whole upper body rotation. So both of my shoulder blades are on the ground here as I rotate back. All right, let's switch the other side. So like a lot of these exercises are good for lots of populations. It's kind of nice to hear why it's good for a particular population. And today we're talking about gymnasts who actually tend to have more shoulder issues in their higher levels of gymnastics when they're doing more bar work, more challenging bar work. But these same issues that we're addressing right now actually affect a gymnast's lower back, or tend to affect a gymnast's lower back before affecting the shoulders. Obviously, I'm making broad sweeps here, like not in my movement and in my generalization. Everybody's different, but this is what I tend to find here. Let's do that one more time. Remember, we're rotating the whole body, and it feels really good. All right, now we're gonna go onto our side like this, onto our elbow, and we're gonna let it slouch and lift and slouch and lift. And you might feel a stretch down here, and then gathering together of the muscles in between the ribs and the muscles that are between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the pelvis. You might also notice, like, if you think about your shoulder blade and what it's doing, it's sliding against your back ribs, getting some mobility there. And we're working on getting our good positioning for when we do side plank. We don't want to hang out in a side plank like this. We want to hang out like this. Speaking of which, let's stay over here, put one foot slightly in front of the other, and lift. Good. And bring your arm up, and then reach all the way over. And getting a stretch along that upper side with stability on this lower side. And come back to neutral, and little rainbow position, and back to neutral, and two more. 2, and 1. Awesome, let's do that on the other side. Okay, so most of what we've done so far, maybe a gymnast would think is pretty simple. Maybe you, exercises are not always about being challenging enough, right? It's about getting in connection with what your body's doing, noticing where the little idiosyncrasies are, where the asymmetries are, so that you can deal with them, right? So that was like most of the exercises that we did earlier. This one might be considered a challenging exercise. To a gymnast, maybe not. 3, stretch and stabilize. 2, stretch and stabilize. 1. It's harder for me to find it on this side. Okay, top foot slightly in front of the bottom one. Come on up, arm up. This is gonna be what I call neutral, and then rainbow over and back to neutral. And rainbow over and back to neutral. And as I analyzed myself, I realized it was harder for me to pull together these side waist muscles earlier. And here, as I'm doing this, I can feel it here. I feel a little bit of pinchiness in that area, and I'm wanting to like come forward this way. So notice those little things in yourself. All right, now we're gonna go onto our hands and knees. And actually no, let's go down to our stomachs first. You are going to set yourself up by scooping your tailbone under. So if you are arching in this position, tuck under a little bit and your belly button kind of lifts off the ground a little bit, and make sure that you're not overly pressing into the ground with your thighs. Cover your face right off the mat and put your hands right by your shoulders. Send your shoulder blades down your back and just extend the upper back. Yeah? Shoulder blades down, lift chest, and come on down. And shoulder blades down, lift chest, and come on down. And 2 more. So we're working on getting that press down here and a little bit of movement in that upper back. Okay, go ahead and hover your face off the ground, bring your arms out to the side, thumbs facing the ground, and lift your arms up and down. Sometimes, amazingly, these strong gymnasts find this quite challenging. But if you are someone, a gymnast or anybody else that's not finding this challenging, you can add a little bit of a weight into your hands, like 2 pounds. Make sure that your shoulders aren't scrunching up towards your ears. You're bringing those shoulder blades down towards your back pockets like we talked about earlier. Now flip your hands the other way and lift here. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, put your forehead on your hand, on one hand, and then reach your arm above you. Palm facing inward, lift up and down. Keep your arms close, well, not as close to your head as possible, but in line with the rest of your body, like you're doing a handstand, for example. You can even move your hands in that position so that it's almost like you're doing a handstand lying on your stomach. 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch sides. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's bring this back. Big stretch here. You can, instead of like doing like an archy, what is that called? Cat stretch. I'd like you to tuck your tail under and open up. And hopefully you get a good stretch along the side of your shoulders. Bring both arms to one side and take a big breath into that open side of your rib cage. And when I mean to take a breath into it, it means like as you breathe in, you fill that area and it increases the stretch. And then go the other way. And then you're gonna go onto your hands and knees and you're gonna do that same motion, lifting your arm out to the side. You want your back to be flat, head in line with your back. Let's try not to be rounded, yeah? Let's be flat here, not rounded, not like your chest is puffing. Okay, or not puffing, but chest is like closing and being strong. No, we're looking for an open chest position here. And switch sides. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then bring your leg out and the opposite arm straight in front and lift that arm up and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And switch sides, other leg out, lift the opposite arm. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and finally let's find ourselves in a plank position. An open plank, not a hollow body plank, but an open chest plank. And then push back to open shoulders, and back to plank, and back to open shoulders. And 2 more times, 1, and 2. All right, so that's about 10 minutes of Pilates shoulders for gymnasts, ex-gymnasts, CrossFitters, acrobats, anybody that really has to use their arms a lot. And yeah, there are more things to be done like with weights and stuff, but this is a good foundation from which to move. So have